Hi, today I'm speaking to Adam Banks of Visa Europe. So, Adam, as Chief Technology Officer here at Visa Europe, what are you talking about with your member banks and partners? What are some of the trends that the industry is discussing right now?
So I think we'd probably break the topics into two, the pure technology trends and then the social trends off the back of those. From a pure technology trends perspective, it's very much around the accessibility of compute power. So really not here talking about the affordability or the ease of access, but the fact that you don't need skills potentially anymore to access these large volume computing stuff. So stuff as a service, cloud, there's a whole load of stuff that you can leverage as a business that you didn't used to be able to leverage unless you had technology experts on board. Ubiquity of networks, permanently on type models where we've got increasing amount of utilization taking place from people on the move. Smart devices, I don't want to use smartphones as the buzzword, but very much the power in people's hands, how they can move around and access compute capability pretty much from anywhere. And that's really leading to some sort of social changes around the more and more time people spend online, the more and more data they generate. If you look at shopping online, you shop on the high street and no one knows what you've bought. You go online and shop and you've created this whole trail of data that is of use to both you as an individual and various organisations to mine and analyse. There's a bit of a crisis of identity going on online as well. Many of us have multiple online personas, and how we as individuals manage those, anything from tax returns through to Facebook, they're all discrete and separate identities at the present time, but they all tie back to a single individual. And that's a burden for the individual to manage, so we're spending a lot of time talking about how we could help in those spaces.
So what other technologies are important to the payments industry then?
The simple answer has got to be consumer technology. And again, I know that if you talk in IT world about consumer tech, everyone's talking about using consumer tech in the work environment, and that's really not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about here the increasing migration of payments, of activity in the consumer sector to an online model. 10, 15 years ago, it used to be perfectly acceptable that if you checked your bank balance online, you got a different answer from the ATM. That's just no longer something that people will live with, and the same is true of mobile banking, the same is true of internet bank. All of the access channels into your payment spaces now have to be linked on the back end because of the increasing dynamism within the consumer. And so consumer tech really is driving some quite heavy trends within the payments technology space.
So in the UK, Visa is £1 for every £3 spent in the country. So, this obviously generates a huge amount of data. So what is the term big data, which is being thrown around by a lot of people right at the moment, what does the term big data really mean to Visa?
So clearly that does generate a huge amount of data. We process something in the order of 14 billion transactions per year. That data though is only really interesting at a macro level. As a card user, to us you are just a number. We don't know you, we can't contact you, we don't have your consumer details. So we can do a lot of analysis on high streets, we can do a lot of analysis on particular retailers, we can do a lot of analysis on countries. We do quite a lot of stuff looking at the UK economy because we're a real good pulse point for the UK economy. If we can start to look at breaking down the organisational boundaries for data, so we can use our data with other companies' data, then we can start getting much richer data sets and start doing stuff on behalf of the consumer, really analysing what you like rather than what a card number likes. And so big data for us isn't just about leveraging the data we've got, it's how we collaborate as businesses to better serve the consumer and using the data that gets created anyway. It's not about creating new data. We've got all the data we need. It's about joining it together.
So the big data is also about, gathering up this data, aggregating the data from lots of multiple channels.
Yeah, different channels, different sectors. So if you look at the retailers, they know what you've spent. Well, they don't actually know what you've spent in other stores. So Visa as a data aggregator potentially can start joining some of those pictures together and giving a much better experience from things like loyalty for the consumer, because there is a much bigger single picture, so therefore a much more accurate picture. In terms of Amazon recommends, it's my kids that buy stuff on Amazon for me, so any Amazon recommendation is meaningless to me. Now, that's something that I think Visa could strip out, so I get relevant offers based on my total spend profile, including credit cards, online, face-to-face. That would be really useful if we could do that.